Hey everybody, welcome to Shitty's Club. Today, we're going to talk about the trading card game, the Ancient Origins set, and my ideas on what it'll bring to our current metagame. Now, those of you who do know about this set, you guys do understand a lot of what has gone on in the previous year as far as our metagame's gone, and you know enough about it to start differentiating the linkal causes between players playing this card against this card and certain decks getting thrown out and others coming in. Well, it seems like a couple of cards were pretty much in it from the start. We've had Keldeo Floatstone, we've had Landorus EX, we've had Mewtwo EX. All these Pokemon have been in it since forever. And that's one of the few things that I think has kept this game alive this long as far as the players, is because they keep reprinting these stupid cards into Legendary Treasure Set and like, oh, I can keep using these cards, so I'm going to get back into Pokemon. I know at least a dozen people who did this. Just because they were reprinted in the Legendary Treasures, oh yeah, I'm still going to play because all my cards are legal. And they bought maybe a couple Eviltalls, stuff like this. Oh man, I hope I get day 2. I want to use this really nice dark deck. And I thought, oh my god, are you freaking kidding me? Anyway, there was a lot of Plasma users early on, and then it starts to develop into X and Y. People start to stray away, start to run types of decks that just absolutely go through everything. Lysander's trump card, put everything back in the deck, run through it again. It gets banned, and here we are. We are at the point where I don't give the very hair on a rat's behind about this particular format. When they ban cards, I hate it. Because everything I know up to now was based on Lysander's trump card. I was testing with that card. Every one of my decks had it because I knew it was good. I had one copy in every deck. I'm sure everybody else did too, because they knew that if they had it, they could not deck out as long as they could get it back. And there were Via Seekers, there were POW pads, and yes, I did run both. And I did it so I could keep getting supporter cards back, and especially Lysander's trump card. It gets banned. Boom. Here we are. Nationals. I refuse to go to Nationals, and I refuse to go to Worlds. I just refuse to play in a format where they're going to ban cards right in the middle of the format. I'd love to see them do this at the beginning of the year, so I will know what's going to be around. Now, I do understand that it wasn't there at the beginning of the year. I understand that it come right before the city's championships, and that's fine. However, there's specific circumstances where people like, and I'm going to go ahead and mention names, Puka, who's probably one of the guys, who helped get this rule taken care of. He's probably was kind of sort of behind it, which I don't blame him one bit. It was broken. I agree. So I wouldn't take that away from nobody. But then again, you're going to have to basically understand that absolutely nobody wanted Lysander's trump card to get banned if that was the card that they expected to use to get back all their resources, playing 4 enhanced hammers, 4 crushing hammers. And I mean, they're just basically cycling through the whole deck. Hypnotistic Laser, Burbank City Gym. They're absolutely annihilating their opponent with status conditions and discarding energy. And thank God that they didn't have trainer cards that dealt direct damage to a Pokemon, basically put 10 damage on a Pokemon like we had Poke Blower back in the day, because we did. I'm sure that would have been in a deck as a 4 of Incap being recycled. But now that we've kind of are going to get out of this format, We're going to jump straight into a new format. We're going to start testing after Worlds. And those of you who are going to the Boston Open, pray for your soul that, you know, a bunch of people aren't going to try to stab you over not being able to play specific cards. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into this new Ancient Origins set. To me, it's still new because, you know, it's the newest set. Anyway, we're not going to go over all the cards, and you guys probably won't get to see the pictures on this video. But basically, I'm going to try to read straight from screenshots that I took. And I'm just going to pretty much read the effects of the cards that I believe are going to have the big impact in our format. The first one is Vileplume. Now, this thing alone, which I hate having to wait for. Shut up. Anyway, it's taken a while. So, but anyway, Vileplume says, irritating pollen ability. Each player can't play any item cards from his or her hand. Now, this is an absolute death trap because we've had this before. But this was back when it was all trainer cards. Vileplume, back way when, was, and this was during the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, which I'm sure everybody who's been playing for a couple years remembers, because if you don't ever remember playing against this card and you played in 2000, 2011, you know, around that area, you must not have played in competitive play, because Vilegar, or that Vileplume with a Curse Gar, it was everywhere. And everybody loved this concept. Basically just swapping Gengar out with something else who had an ability itself. And basically these two Pokemon, one Pokemon sits on the bench, prevents item cards. This other swap up Pokemon, whatever it does. I mean, there's plenty of other Pokemon that they could use. I can think of several that people used. Some people just used Smeargle, just went back up to Smeargle. Okay, I'll just portrait another supporter. That was a big thing back then. Anyway, Vileplume's back, and I'll get into later why Vileplume is going to be so much more hyped and so much more hated by some people, and some much love it and want to cuddle the card. Some people might even frame it or marry it. I don't know. Anyway, next card will be, I hate this. I hate this entire system that I got. This is a brand new computer. For those of you who don't know, I quit playing Computer Doctor. I have fixed the computer I had literally like a gazillion times, and I still cannot keep it from pretty much just not working on me. So yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go down this line. For those of you who are going to play Vileplume, you might be one who would want to put in Blossom, which isn't a bad Pokemon, because with a Grass Energy, Windmill for 20, switch this Pokemon, one of your bench Pokemon. You guys are going to see where I'm going with this. You can put Muscle Band on this Pokemon, does 40 damage, something else to promote more damage if it comes out in the future. Basically, Ariados, which is the next Pokemon I'm going to talk about, it could use its ability. Blossom would then switch itself out with another Pokemon. The opponent would be poisoned. Blossom's on the bench, and now another Pokemon comes up with an ability that stops you from doing something else, and another one on the bench. Vileplume keeps you from playing item cards. I know it's going to suck. And some people will play this strategy over a Sceptile strategy, which I will go over later. Ariados. Poisonous Nest. Once during your turn before you attack, you may use this ability. Both active Pokemon except for grass Pokemon are now poison. Of course, Blossom wouldn't be affected, but in some instances, you'd have a Pokemon up front that you could not afford. For example, Ampharos would be a great partner with Vileplume because you basically prevent them switching out and you prevent them playing Switch or Escape Rope. So both ways that they have to retreat are gone. They're stuck there until they are dead. They're basically 100 and almost 150 HP, I'm not exactly sure. And then basically you could physically swap them out with a Lysander, get another hit on them, and then start to finish them off. Now, I do highly recommend this particular strategy, which I'll get to probably in a later episode, because I'm not to Ampharos yet, but this is a very good strategy, and I would highly recommend it to people. The next Pokemon I want to talk about is Sceptile EX. Of course, the regular is probably not the one that you want, probably not the one you want to rely on a lot, because it really doesn't do like anything. Just sleep poison, that's pretty self-explanatory. The Mega. It's the Mega in what it does. The Mega Sceptile, for a grass and a colorless, does 100 damage, and you may attach up to 2 grass energy cards from your hand to one of your bench, or to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. If you attach energy to a Pokemon in this way, heal all damage from those Pokemon. Are you freaking kidding me? So basically, my energy attachments are going to literally heal the Pokemon on the bench. In what way does this make sense? Because you could literally abuse Sceptile EX, the Mega Sceptile EX, its 2 retreat costs and energy retrieval. You could completely abuse that entire system. And because they reprinted the I don't know what they call it, a golden trainer with the energy retrieval. I mean, it'd just be like cheating, like saying, okay, just give me the game already. Come on. Unless you can one-shot Mega Sceptile, it's not going to happen. So, the next Pokemon I want to get to is the, let's see, Vespiqun's pretty much over hyped. Rizion's not that great. All the Eevee evolutions have this nice little ability, Flareon's got an ability, Flare Effect. Each of your Stage 1 Pokemon in play is now Fire Pokemon in addition to its existing types. Same thing goes for Jolteon and Vaporeon, which I will not go in depth about because their attacks suck. Their abilities is all you would ever use them for. And yes, there are reasons why you would use Flareon, is because grass is going to be completely broken. So yeah. So Flareon is going to be a tech in a lot of decks. And while you have Flareon, you probably will go ahead and run a Jolteon or Vaporeon depending on what types that you absolutely have to get rid of. There's one card that I'm going to go ahead and say right now, it's going to be overhyped. Guys, don't fall too head over heels for this card. The Gyarados with the Greek effect, whatever it's called. I know a lot of people won't call it an ancient trait. I call it a Greek effect. You had something against it. Don't hold me against it because, that's what I call it. Anyway, its first attack is not as good as it looks. It's 30 more damage for each damage counter on each of your benched Magikarp. Magikarp only holds 30 HP, okay, guys? Themselves can get knocked out like that. You can knock out 2, 3, or 4 of them like that. Assuming that you use Archies to get the Gyarados from the discard pile in play. they're still very easy to knock out in multiples. They're just easy prizes waiting to be taken. So you guys falling head over heels for Gyarados. You're just going to get a butt kicking very fast. I'm just going to be very blunt and very honest. I know you guys love me for my joking around, but I don't want you guys to, end up like that. And I'm going to go to a nice little Pokemon that can, pull some strings, mid to late game against a deck that hasn't fully recovered. And it's the Relicanth. First attack, for colorless, search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon tool cards, villain, put them in your hand, shelve your deck afterward. This could be worth something. Could. 1 attack cost, 1 retreat cost. You can pull it up with plenty of different cards. So it could be thought of as a pretty good tech for getting back, muscle bands, or getting back plenty of other stuff that you would need, because I'm not going to go into detail what every single tool card is. The Kyurem EX, people are going to try to experiment with this one. Basically, it took the original Kyurem with Glaciate and turned that move onto the new EX, and had this kind of sort of cool move, Ice Caliber, which is coolly named, but absolutely just a cold attack. I'm not too hot on it. You guys understand jokes by now. Anyway, Glaciate would be a nice little attack if you can get it to work, especially on an EX. Then the next Pokemon, I'm going to talk about this one, not too much in depth because I know you guys don't want to hear too much about it, but it's a good card nonetheless. The first one, Ampharos EX, yes, you will be using its first attack. Thunder Rod, look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach as many lightning energy cards you find there as you like to your Pokemon, or to this Pokemon. Shuffle the other cards back in your deck. You're not discarding anything, so there's really no risk into doing so, because pretty much the more lightning you have, the more you can place on Ampharos, which would be great if you can reveal 1 or 2. You're already halfway there, because its Mega Evolution attack is a double colorless, and chances are you're going to run anywhere from 2 to 4 in an Ampharos deck anyway. Its second attack on the original EX is worth nothing, unless you have some specific circumstance where you need to get around another card's effect. And I've seen plenty of circumstances where it happens. Not saying it can't happen or won't happen, but Safeguard is a very sticky ability, so you don't want to get caught with that. Mega Ampharos, by the way, 2 lightning, 2 colorless, Exavolt for 120, and you may do 50 more damage and leave your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed. If you do, this Pokemon does 30 damage to itself. 30 damage to itself is a little less than most people want, but think about this. Leaving them at either knockout condition or near knockout condition with paralysis is literally worth everything. Now, let's break it down. First off, they will not be able to retreat and pull up another Pokemon. That's where the next turn you can Lysander the Pokemon on a bench and leave the old one to the bench and pull up another one and do the exact same to it. Basically, Ampharos is hiding behind paralysis the whole time. If you had a Vileplume on the bench, now they couldn't play Switch, they couldn't play Escape Rope. It would be almost impossible for them to get out of that situation. Pretty much the only way they had is taken away from them, because Audinose from Boundaries Cross, and that is gone from the original XY format. So that's the reason that I love that concept, is because it's literally locking your opponent into something that they don't want to be locked into. I mean, that's like being locked into a contract for a phone that starts out at $19.99 a month and then suddenly jacks up to not $199.99 a month after the first month. Oh, you signed a 2-year contract, you can't do nothing about it. That's about what it's like. Because there's literally nothing you can do at that point. Well, of course, against the mirror match, it's gonna be a little bit harder because it would be direct influence on the who can exchange first, and there are some Pokemon who can't be affected by special conditions with specific circumstances. Thank God Virizion EX is gone. So, anyway, next Pokemon. We're not going to talk about Rotom because Rotom just sucks in this format. Unknown. You guys that know what Unknown does in this format, and you're happy, and you're talking about a return, you know about the old Unknown R from Legends Awaken. And basically, Legends Awaken had an Unknown R that had an ability retire. And basically, when it's on the bench, you can use the Pokemon power. Take the Pokemon, discard it, draw a card. Doesn't count as a knockout. It was a nice little way of drawing extra cards. It was in almost everybody's deck. I will admit I had 4 copies of the card. Wasn't happy when I started the card, especially against decks like Machamp. But then again, there's plenty of other cards in the deck back then. It does the exact same thing with its ability, and we're not even worried about its attack. So we're just glad to see that back. Claydol is going to be a nice little addition. Basically, for 1 Psychic Energy, devolve each of your opponent's evolved Pokemon and put the highest stage evolution card on it into your opponent's hand. Yes, you could easily, and I'm going to say this, you could easily get an entire win from 6 prizes off of that 1 attack. It is possible, guys. Remember what I said about Mega Ampharos. You could leave your opponent with a paralyzed Pokemon, no way to take it back to the bench, because once I take it back to the bench and I bring another one up and I paralyze it, what's going to happen to that Pokemon? Exactly. That Pokemon is going to be stuck up there. The next one comes up, it's stuck. Now I have hopefully 3 EXs at that point in a reasonable battle where I'm going against an EX deck. I pretty much got a solid advantage. I can basically work in turn 2, have the game, which I do love. So Claydol is really something to think about for those of you who want to incorporate Rainbow Energy or Psychic Energy in your deck. This next one, and I'm not even going to go for goal art. People will try to play test it. You know, it might work in some decks with strong energy. You never know what would happen. This Pokemon is definitely going to be seen in sorry guys, in every deck that involves the Sceptile Mega Sceptile combo. You know, going to Mega Sceptile using the Stadium, which I'll get to later, and quickly evolving with its tool cards. Hoopa EX has an ability. It's a Scoundrel Ring. Basically, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to your bench, you may search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon EX, except for Hoopa, and reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. Okay, what this does is basically, say you have a Sceptile EX up front, you search for 1 more and 2 Megas, find 1 of those Sceptile Spirit Links, evolve to Mega Sceptile with the Stadium in play, and then you can either play another link on the other Sceptile, or you can play the Tool Retriever and attach it to that one, and then play the Mega. You're still not ending your turn. You can have Oddish Gloom, Vileplume. At one point, you could be putting it down and then get Vileplume on the last card. As a, okay, now Vileplume in turn, you know? It's going to happen, guys. We just got to prepare for it. That's what I'm saying. This format is literally almost equalizing what we lost. This set itself is worth so much. In contrast. Now, I'm not going to say anything about Machamp EX. I don't see it being, you know, anything really great unless you could use it in combination with Ariados, which is the only thing I see this thing working with. But then again, 160 HP, 160 damage is what you're doing. You need 3 energy, 2 of which are fighting. And there's really no way to accelerate except for Landorus, which is going to take way too long in a match. And according to the cards we have in format now, that's not going to happen anytime soon. That's why Machamp's not as high up in price as people think it is. Tyranitar EX itself is not great, but the Mega Tyranitar EX is broken as heck. 240 whopping HP. This thing is the king of dark Pokemon. Remember when the little Sneasel from the Neo Genesis set was our biggest threat and it was banned? This is nothing compared to Sneasel. For 2 darkness and 2 colorless and an extended format. This thing has no possible way to be stopped. In turn 1, you could literally have a Tyranitar, not the Mega, a Tyranitar EX up, bolt, bitched out, ready for the Mega. That's all I'm going to say about it. And all you would need is to lay that 1 card down. You would have everything you need. With all the extended cards, if I was told correctly about what would be in the extended format, I was told it was going to be from Next Destinies on in extended format. This card will be seen in the extended format all across the US. It'll make up almost half the decks probably. Because I'm sure this thing would love to have Darkrai and Dark Patch. Not to mention a lot of help from both the Special Darkness Energy and the Sableye, which also helps a little bit. Anyway, Destroyer King, 2 darkness, 2 colorless, 110 damage plus. This attack does 60 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. Let me get that back in contrast to you. In reality, you're stacking 60 more damage on top of an already 10 damage. So if there you have 10 damage, you're doing 170 more to an EX, which equals 180 damage. If I'm not confusing anybody, that's an almost automatic knockout on every single EX in format. With 2 damage counters, that does 230 more damage, which is 250 damage, which is an almost automatic knockout on every Mega EX and Wailord. I'm sure people understand where I'm going here. Now, my problem is that there's going to be people who try to run this in with Greninja. Oh yeah, I can make it work with Greninja. I'm just gonna run, Dark and Water. Please. What I do is just stick to what I know. That's all I have to say on this issue. Stick with what you know best. Try to get what you can done from specific standpoints. Of course, you're gonna have to spread a little in order to get anything done. I do understand that. Then you have Metagross can be some sort of useful if you're going to be playing in an extended format with the Kling Clang, the Plasma Clang. Magnetic Wrap could kind of sort of help you out there. Both people switched Pokemon. Kind of get one Pokemon out of a gym if you have to. I don't see too much use for a lot of other cards. Let's see. Gardevoir can use its ability, heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. That's not going to be too much worry for me because, 20 damage is literally nothing in this format if you're healing it. Giratina EX, this thing might have some potential. I believe that it's going to see early signs of potential and then start to slowly fade away once people realize how bulky it actually is, how much it takes to get it out. Excuse me. Its ability, Renegade Pulse, prevent all effects, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Mega Evolution Pokemon. Not everybody runs Mega Evolution Pokemon. I'm going to stress that right now. There are plenty of ways to take away abilities in this game. Plenty of ways. Next attack. A Grass, a Psychic, and 2 Colorless. I understand Dragon Energy, double Colorless Energy. I understand that it's a possible way of doing it. And your opponent can't play Pokemon Tool Cards, Special Energy, or Stadium Cards from their hand during their next turn. I understand it. But for 100 damage, come on. That's nothing. Goomy could be somewhat useful with the other Goodra, which prevents the Tool Cards, I guess, because, or it could be useful in combination for the, with the one that heals itself. I can see either one of those situations being, okay for that Sluggo. I'm not saying, or for the Goomy, because I don't see Goodra being, really helpful. There's going to be a lot of people that try out the Porygon Z, discard the Cyber Crush attack for 1 colorless energy, discard all special energy attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon. I'm going to see that enough times, within the first 2 weeks, as people are going to try to use that as a tech and figure out, this thing's not really going to work because I have to now throw in our candies, I have to throw in all this crap. It's just bulking up my deck. There's no way to really accelerate it in this metagame. Lugia EX is probably the most solid Pokemon out of every card in this set because it's a colorless Pokemon. Its attack 2 colorless. Arrow Ball does 20. 20 times is 20. Its attack does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. We know what Mewtwo did the same thing, but it was a Psychic type. We know what Yveltal did, required a Darkness energy, but it did 20 plus, which is not bad. Now Lugia EX is a colorless type with 2 colorless energy requirements like Mewtwo, and pretty much the same thing as Mewtwo. So it can pretty much fit into every single type of deck because it can also use an attack for 100, basically 80 plus 70 if there's a Stadium card in play and then discard a Stadium card, which is very effective against decks that run basically Grass Stadium, stuff like that. Then you have Ace Trainer. We're getting to the trainer cards. Basically, you can only play it if you have more prize cards left in your opponent. Each player shovels their hand in the deck. You draw 6 cards. They draw 3. I'm not going to go over any Spirit Links because that'd be stupid. Eco Arm, shuffle 3 Pokemon Tool cards from your discard pile into your deck. Like I said before, there's a way to get them back in your hand. However, some people don't like it, so they just play the item card, get them back in their deck, and try to get them out through draw or search. Energy Recycler. I love this card. Shuffle 5 basic energy from your discard pile back in your deck. Love this. We're going to get Faded Town anytime between turns. Put 2 damage counters on each Mega Evolution Pokemon. Oh, yeah. I think it's... No, yeah, it's 2 damage counters. Okay. Forest of Giant Plants. This is the stadium card I was talking about, guys. Each player's grass Pokemon can evolve during his or her first turn, or the turn he or she plays that Pokemon. So basically, as soon as that Pokemon comes into play, you can evolve it. That's what's going to be broken about Vileplume. That's what's going to be broken about pretty much everything. You have Hexmaniac. Until the end of your next turn, each Pokemon in play, each player's hand, each player's discard pile has no abilities. So yeah. Then you have Level Ball coming back, and this is going to create a nightmare because this card was originally, before the set got rotated out of standard and came into extended, it still went for $3 to $4 a card. Hopefully it's not going to be that expensive now, but because there are going to be a lot of players who will need this card because they play starter structure decks, whatever they're called. And I'm not too sure that this would be a really good idea to bring this card back at a, like a higher price, but it's okay. It's going to start to gain, a lot more value as it fades away. You got Lucky Helmet. When the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon is damaged by an opponent's attack, draw 2 cards. Or if it's knocked out, sorry, yeah. So basically, that's a really specific circumstance. They have to be knocked out by damage from an attack. It counts as your item card, but you draw 2 cards. Not bad. Especially if it's, say, just a set-up Pokemon, or if it's one of those Pokemon are just kind of on the side, an ability Pokemon sits on the bench, go ahead and attach a Lucky Helmet to it. What's the hurt? If it makes your opponent not want to knock it out because you get 2 cards out of it, heck, you might draw another one of those Pokemon. Who knows? Lysander's coming back. Yay! I love how we don't have Catcher anymore because Lysander's just a slightly less broken version of it, so it's going to make it a lot, better just look at Lysander. Paint Roller. Discarding stadium card in play, then draw a card. Basically, you're going to use this against Groudon or against Grass. A lot of different decks use mini stadium cards, so you got to be able to just counteract it. And people are going to up their stadium count because of Paint Roller. Dangerous Energy. I don't understand why they have to come up with these crazy names. Basically, it's literally the same thing as a Special Darkness Energy. I don't want to have to repeat it, except it does 2 more damage instead of it does 20 more damage instead of 10. So, basically, the opponent, instead of you attacking and doing more damage, if they attack you, you put 2 damage counters on them. That's what I'm trying to get at. The Flash Energy is basically, if it's a lightning Pokemon attached to, no weakness. I'm not going to go into details because there is no reason to do so. Steven is reprinted this set as a full art. The Primals, the Mega Rayquaza, they're reprinted as these weird foils. Energy Retrieval and Trainer's Mail come back as gold cards. So guys, I'm sure everybody loves watching a 40-minute video on the new set and what I think about it. I know people probably don't like a lot of the insight I give to it, but I'm going to say that I don't take any of it back. Maybe parts and pieces, but I don't take it back. Every minute of it is pretty informational. I've been in the game for a while. I pretty much can have a good overview of cards. I've rarely been wrong on a lot of cards and what they turn out to be. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Post any comments you have in the comment section down below. If they're approved, I'll post them. And as always, hope you guys have as much fun as I've had. I'll see you guys next time at Shifty's Club.